Imagine meeting a man who seems intelligent, polite, even charming. A man who smiles warmly, speaks calmly, and asks you for a small favor. Now imagine discovering later that the same man would become one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. This is the story of Ted Bundy, a man who didn't hide in the darkness. He walked in daylight. He blended into crowds, and for years, no one suspected the truth. Because sometimes the most dangerous monsters don't look like monsters at all. Ted Bundy was born in 1946. From the outside, his life looked ordinary. He was intelligent, ambitious, and studying law. Friends described him as confident and polite. Women often said he was attractive. He volunteered for political campaigns. He even worked at a crisis hotline, helping people through emotional emergencies. To the world, he looked like someone destined for success. But behind that carefully crafted image, another side of Ted Bundy was quietly growing. A dark obsession that would soon turn deadly. In 1974, young women began disappearing across Washington state. College students, bright, full of life, suddenly gone. There were no witnesses to the crimes, no clear suspect, just a growing sense of fear spreading across campuses. Then something strange began to appear in witness reports. Several people described a polite young man, sometimes wearing a sling or cast on his arm. He approached women and asked for help loading something into his car, and many trusted him. At Lake Sammamish State Park, 2 women disappeared in broad daylight. Multiple witnesses heard the man introduce himself with the same name, Ted. For investigators, this was the first chilling clue. Bundy's method was disturbingly simple. He used charm instead of force. He pretended to be injured. He asked for help. And once victims were close enough, he attacked. Over the next several years, victims vanished across multiple states: Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado. Police struggled to connect the cases. Different jurisdictions, different evidence, and a killer constantly moving. But slowly, a suspect began to emerge. A man who drove a Volkswagen Beetle. A man named Ted. And eventually, the investigation led straight to Ted Bundy. In 1975, police stopped Bundy in Utah for suspicious driving. Inside his car, officers discovered disturbing items: handcuffs, rope, a crowbar. At first, Bundy denied everything, and surprisingly, many people still doubted he could be a killer. He appeared calm, intelligent, almost convincing. But prosecutors continued building their case. Witnesses placed him near crime scenes. Physical evidence began connecting him to victims, and the man who once appeared untouchable was finally heading toward trial. But the story was far from over. Most criminals try to escape before they are caught. Ted Bundy did something far more shocking. He escaped after he was already in custody. In 1977, while awaiting trial in Colorado, Bundy jumped from a courthouse window and ran into the mountains. For days, authorities searched for him. Eventually, he was captured again. But months later, he escaped a second time, and this time he disappeared completely. For weeks, no one knew where he was, until terrifying news arrived from another state. Bundy had traveled to Florida. In January 1978, he broke into a sorority house near Florida State University. What happened inside shocked the nation. Within minutes, multiple women were brutally attacked. 2 of them lost their lives. Others survived with serious injuries. The violence was sudden, chaotic, and horrifying. The charming mask that once fooled so many people had finally disappeared. The monster was exposed. Soon after, Bundy was arrested once again. This time, there would be no escape. Bundy's trial quickly became a national spectacle. Millions watched as cameras broadcast the courtroom drama across America. Bundy even chose to act as his own lawyer at times, questioning witnesses and challenging the prosecution. But the evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses identified him. Forensic evidence linked him to victims, and the man who once appeared untouchable was finally heading toward trial. Ted Bundy fooled the world with charm and intelligence, but his story leaves us with one chilling reminder. The most terrifying monsters in history are often the ones who look the most human. If stories like this fascinate you, take time to explore the real investigations behind them. Learn how detectives piece together clues. Study the cases that shaped modern criminal profiling. And remember the victims whose stories must never be forgotten, because understanding the past is the only way to recognize danger in the future. Ted Bundy fooled the world with charm and intelligence, but his story leaves us with one chilling reminder. The most terrifying monsters in history are often the ones who look the most human.